Right, you go. Hello, Dominic here. I am looking forward to welcoming you to the Bournemouth Writing Festival on the 26th, 27th and 28th of April 2024. Now, the ethos of the Writing Festival is to inspire writers to write, and that's all writers. If you're a complete beginner, all the way through to you might have published already, or you write for fun, or you've been writing for a long time. So it doesn't matter about your age, your ability, or your background. We want to welcome you to the Bournemouth Writing Festival. Now, this year we have 3 workshops which specialize for certain types of people. So on Friday, we have 2 creative writing workshops for adults with additional needs. And these are going to be at the old schoolhouse in Boscombe, and that's on Friday. We also have creative writing workshops for language schools or language students or international students. So if English is not your first language, then come along to Bayswater, Bournemouth on Friday afternoon for a creative writing session bespoke for you. And now Bayswater, Bournemouth is just around the corner from the Pavilion Dance, right in the town centre. And the last thing I want to tell you about is our Sunday evening showcase of writers on the fringes or on the edges of our society. So we have performances from arts organisations such as Vita Nova, The Outsiders Project, and K.I. Nat, which is an Urdu word, I want to try and get that right, as well as word breakers and silencers. Now, Miriam San Marco is going to be hosting and curating that, so that's going to be a really special evening of some fantastic local talent. So we have over 80 writing events and activities happening over the weekend, and I'm delighted to welcome Gail Aldwin today to our interview sessions. Now, Gail, her session is on Sunday, the 28th of April at 1 o'clock, and that's going to be at the Avenue venue. It's not at the main festival hub, it's at the Avenue Shopping Centre, which is in Bournemouth Town Centre as well. And the title of her talk is Just One Tweet, or X, Away from Publication. So hello, Gail, thank you for joining.
Hello, delighted to be here. And it's really interesting listening to your introduction there. I'm so thrilled to be part of such an inclusive festival, you know, catering for people with additional needs and different backgrounds. Sounds absolutely fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. So, Gail, you are a Dorset-based writer of fiction and poetry, and also co-writes short plays and comedy sketches. And she's also written a children's book. She has appeared in literary festivals from Bridport in Dorset all the way through to the Mani Lit Fest in Greece via the Stockholm Writers Festival. So we're delighted that you're going to be coming to Bournemouth. So thank you so much. You can read some of her writing online at wordsforthewild.co.uk. So Gail, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, first of all, and the different genres you write in and how you got to where you are today?
Well, it's a long process. I mean, I've been writing for over a decade. And I started off, like many people, thinking there was a book in me and just sort of sat down to write it. So I started off writing very much my life experience, trying to fictionalize them. But I kind of didn't realize that a novel was such a huge undertaking at the beginning. And I started writing short fiction and poetry alongside the novel because I found it helped build the stamina you need to complete a longer project. And there's something nice about having something sort of virtual, you know, completed so that you can submit it to magazines and sort of build up your publication profile. The collaborative writing in terms of short plays and comedy sketches came later. I was at a workshop and I met 2 other writers, and we just sort of, there was a limited space to sort of perform your work. And so we said, well, why don't we get together and work on something together, and then we'll definitely get to perform it. I've learned so much through writing collaboratively, particularly with these 2 writers. I learned how to put humor into my work through writing with them, because it's so much easier to develop in partnership with other people than sort of trying to find something funny to say on your own.
That's great. And there's going to be lots of networking opportunities at the festival this year. We've got the John and Breakfast, we've got networking lunches and dinners, and Friday night socials. So hopefully other writers coming to the festival will be able to meet others and collaborate too. So I just want to ask you a little bit. So you write lots of different genres, I suppose. You've got the children's books and the plays. So how do you kind of switch your mind into those different formats?
Well, it is getting into the head of the characters, I suppose. The characters come first and the plot comes second with me. I think the plot is always the hardest thing to nail, but how I kind of get into the characters is kind of thinking myself into their heads. So, for example, my coming of age novel is written with a 7-year-old, from the viewpoint of a 7-year-old boy. I mean, you couldn't get further away from my own voice, which is actually quite useful because you're never tempted to use your own voice in the writing. But I kind of did a sort of similar thing to method acting, and I thought back to when I was 7 years old, and something I used to do was sort of sit in my airing cupboard at home and just sort of think and muse and puzzle about things. So I kind of cleared out my cupboard under the stairs here at home and just sat in it for a while and sort of thought myself into this child that I wanted to write about. So, you know, that was, you know, just one little trick that I used, but it really helped me to get into the mind of that character.
Brilliant. Okay, so the session that you're going to be hosting at the Writing Festival is more about kind of once you've finished the writing and you want to get it out into the world. And the title of your talk is Just One X or Tweet Away from Publication, Online Pitch Parties and How to Write an Attention-Grabbing Pitch. So first of all, can you explain what is a pitch party?
Well, Pitch Party is an online event, often on X or Twitter, and it's hosted by an agent or a publisher, and they're seeking tweets of a book so that they can request the submission package, like the covering letter, the synopsis, and the first few chapters. So you write your tweet or X, post it, and if the agent or publisher likes it, then you're invited to send in your stuff. It's a really good way of bypassing the gatekeepers, because by doing this you get directly to the agent or the publisher.
So tell us a little bit about more then what you're going to be discussing, what you're going to be talking about.
Well, I want it to be an active session, so I'm going to be asking people to draft a pitch themselves. On X, you only have 280 characters, so it'll be very short. I don't think we'll spend time actually counting the characters, but we'll think about making it as brief as possible. But in terms of honing a whole book down to a few sentences, you know, it's not an easy thing to do. But what we're going to be focusing on is thinking about the main character, thinking about the inciting incident, what happens to change the circumstances for that character, and what kind of stakes are, what are the stakes, what will happen to this character, bearing in mind the various things that operate within the novel. So that's sort of one of the approaches, but I've got several approaches that we can try, and I want people to go away with a drafted pitch that they can use.
And I think the pithy little one-liner, you know, the elevator pitch is so important, because that's what's going to hook people in. And as you said, it's trying to cram so much into one little line, that having that 280 characters is a good guideline to try it. And you know, from my world, you know, my background in Harry Potter's one-liner was an orphan goes to wizarding school, you know, and then that kind of conjures up lots of images and things in your head. So I think this is going to be a great session for everybody. So just tell us a little bit, so who should be coming to this session? Is it people that have already written their manuscript, or kind of halfway through?
I think it's useful to work on this whatever stage you're at in your manuscript, because you're not going to get it first time, and as your book develops you can refine and hone it. So I think anybody with a longer piece of work on the go, very welcome to come along.
Okay, great. And finally then, so what are the takeaways? Is it you're hoping that people leave with a one-liner or guidelines or things to think about? What are the things that you'd like the people that come to do or have learned from your session?
Well, I'd like everybody to be able to go away with a drafted pitch, you know, so that will be something that they can take away and work on. Ideally, I'd like people to have the opportunity to share it with others in the group and get feedback, because that's always such a benefit of workshops, isn't it? We all work in such isolation. Just having a chance to share is so great.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Gail, and looking forward to seeing you at the Writing Festival this April. So remember, Gail's talk is called Just One X or Tweet Away from Publication, Online Pitch Parties and How to Write an Attention-Grabbing Pitch. And it is on Sunday, the 28th of April at 1 o'clock, and it's at The Avenue. So thank you so much for joining me today, Gail.
Brilliant. Look forward to it so much.
Wonderful. And to the rest of you, look forward to seeing you in Bournemouth Town Centre at the end of April. Take care.